All right, let's talk about Tor. You've probably heard of it, right? It's this piece of tech that's got a pretty wild reputation, often tied to the shadier parts of the internet. But what is it really? Today, we're going to peel back all those layers and get to the truth. So, is this thing really the world's most dangerous browser? I mean, whenever you hear Tor, your mind probably jumps straight to the dark web, hackers, secret marketplaces, all that stuff. And yeah, it's definitely got that reputation. But is that the whole story? Not even close. Okay, so first things first, we've got to separate the hype from the reality. Because while Tor can get you to the dark web, the way most people use it and what it was really built for, well, that's something else entirely. And get this chart kind of flips the whole narrative on its head. See that tiny little slice? That's the dark web, the .onion sites. It's just a fraction of the traffic. The vast majority, that huge chunk right there, is people using Tor to get to the normal, everyday internet. Facebook, Google, news sites, they just want to do it privately, without being tracked and watched. So if it's not just a tool for the dark web, where in the world did it come from? Well, this is where the story gets really good, because the answer is probably the last place you would ever guess. Yep, you're reading that right. Tor was born inside the U.S. military. Back in the 90s, the Naval Research Lab had a problem. How could their spies and intelligence officers communicate online without anyone knowing who was talking to whom? They needed to protect not just the message, but the metadata. And their solution was this thing called onion routing. But that leads to a huge question, right? Why would they take this top secret spy tech and just give it to the public? Well, as one of the creators, Roger Dingledine, points out, anonymity needs a crowd. It's like trying to hide in plain sight. If only spies use the network, every connection would be a massive red flag. So to protect their agents, they needed them to blend in with a huge, diverse crowd of regular people from all over the world. So how does this whole onion thing actually keep you anonymous? How does bouncing your internet traffic all over the planet actually work? Let's break it down. So the whole idea is called onion routing, and the name is perfect. Before your data even leaves your computer, the Tor browser wraps it in several layers of strong encryption, just like an onion. Each layer is for a different stop on its journey through a network of servers run by thousands of volunteers around the globe. Your internet request goes on a little three-step journey. First, it hits a random entry node. This computer knows your IP address, but thanks to the encryption, it has no clue where you're going online. Then it's passed to a random middle node. This guy's totally in the dark. He doesn't know who you are or where you're going. Finally, it reaches the exit node. And this right here, this is the secret sauce. The exit node peels off that last layer of encryption and sends your request to the website you wanted to visit. So it knows the destination, but it has absolutely no idea who or where you are. The trust is distributed. No single computer in this whole chain knows both who you are and where you're going. It's pretty genius. Okay, so that's how it works. But who is this really for? And maybe more importantly, is it actually foolproof? What are the limits here? You know, the list of users is way more diverse than you'd think. Of course, you have journalists protecting sources and activists fighting censorship in authoritarian countries, but you also have law enforcement doing undercover work, corporations protecting research, and just everyday people, folks who are simply sick and tired of every single click being tracked and sold to advertisers. Now, we have to be really clear about this. This is super important. Tor is an incredible tool for anonymity, but it is not a magic invisibility cloak. It's got limits, and you absolutely need to know what they are. For one, your internet provider at home can see that you're connecting to Tor. They can't see what you're doing, but they know you're on the network. There's also a risk that a malicious exit node could peek at your traffic if you're on an old, unencrypted website. But honestly, the biggest risk is usually us. If you use Tor to log into your real Facebook or Google account, well, you've just completely undone all that amazing technology. So this brings us to a huge question, one I hear all the time. What's the difference between Tor and a VPN? They sound kind of similar, but they are built to do very, very different jobs. It really all comes down to one word: trust. With a VPN, your main goal is privacy, and you're putting all your trust in one single company. You're trusting them not to keep logs and not to sell your data. Tor's goal is anonymity, and its whole philosophy is to not trust anyone. It spreads that trust out across thousands of random volunteers, so no one person can ever see the full picture. That incredible security is also why it's so much slower. Anonymity has a cost, and that cost is speed. So let's bring it all together. After everything we've talked about, the big question is, should you use TOR? When is it the right tool for the job? Think of it this way. If you need to get around serious government censorship, or if protecting your identity is a life or death situation, like for a journalist or an activist, TOR is the tool you need, full stop. But for pretty much everything else, like streaming videos, playing games, or just protecting your browsing at a coffee shop, a good VPN is going to be way faster and much more practical. And let's be real. Using TOR for everyday stuff can be frustrating. That whole journey through different servers makes things painfully slow. Forget about streaming video. And a lot of websites will either block you or make you solve endless I'm not a robot puzzles. It's just not built for casual, everyday browsing. So TOR isn't the big, scary monster it's made out to be. It's this powerful tool born from a military project that gives people a real shot at anonymity by spreading trust around the globe. It has incredibly important uses, but it also has real limits. And really, it all leaves us with a much bigger question to think about. In a world that's always watching, what does it even mean to be truly anonymous online anymore?